In sense experience, we know away from and beyond our own personality. Yeah. What I see here now is something there. Here, there. Concrete experience, you see. What he's appealing to there is what we'll run across in some of his contemporaries like G.E. Moore in the analytic tradition, the recognition of intentionality, or what is sometimes called a mental act in perception. Locke had said that in perception the mind is passive, a blank tablet just registering sense impressions, you see. Not so Whitehead, not so G.E. Moore and others. The mind is active, it's reaching out. We give attention to, we refer to, we select within for attention, you see. So that mental act of external reference, of spatial reference, of time reference is ingredient to ordinary language, concrete experience. Again, saying that Locke's description of experience and its constituents is mistaken description. Just ain't true. All right, so you get that then on page 89. The second reason at the bottom of 89 is that our historical knowledge tells us of ages past, when, as far as we can see, no living being existed on Earth. It tells of countless star systems. In other words, there's good reason for something more. And the third reason on page 90, about 8 lines down, is based upon the instinct for action. Just as sense perception gives knowledge of what lies beyond individually, so action seems to issue an instinct for self-transcendence, acting beyond my subjective ideas. Now, you say, yeah, but Berkeley knew all about this and he had his explanation. Well, you see, here, it seems to me, his Whitehead's argument is not in terms of empirical adequacy. Berkeley covers this sort of data. The argument is in terms of rational coherence. You see, which gives the more obvious unifying, meaning-giving explanation, an appeal to a coherence criterion for truth. You see. So that the reality of other space-time entities outside of any mind seems to make much more sense, to fit much more naturally with the concrete experience that we have of history, of action, and of mental intentionality than is the case of Berkeley's speculative abstractions. So rational coherence. And then on 93 and 94, he begins to get where he was going all the time, at the bottom of 93. Remembering the poetic rendering of our concrete experience, we see at once the element of value, of being valuable, of having value, of being an end in itself, of being something which is for its own sake, must not be omitted in any account of an event as the most concrete actual something. Value is the word I use for the intrinsic reality of an event, the satisfaction achieved, you see. Value is an element which permeates through and through the poetic view of nature. We've only to transfer to the very texture of realization in itself that value which we recognize so readily in terms of human life. Next page, value is the outcome of limitation. That is to say, of all the eternal possibilities, value is achieved when those possibilities are narrowed down to what is actualized. Okay? So aesthetic attainment in terms of limitation. And if you read his chapter on God, which is a brief chapter, chapter 11, you'll find that that chapter treats God as the principle of limitation. The principle of limitation. Look over to that, if you would. Page 191, 190, oops, that's not 191. Page 178, I beg your pardon. Page 178. Let's see, he says, the beginning of the middle paragraph, there's a further element in the metaphysical situation. There's required a principle of limitation. Get that? Some particular how is necessary, some particularization in the what is necessary, some principle of limitation. We must provide a ground for limitation which stands among the attributes of substantial activity. This attribute provides the limitation for which no reason can be given. Yet why amidst the boundless possibilities is there one selected for actualization? You see? All reason flows from this. God is the ultimate limitation. His existence is the ultimate irrationality, in the sense that you can't give reasons for God emerging. It is the existence of God that is the reason for the actual entities emerging that do emerge. You see, and the activity of God. God is the ultimate limitation. For no reason can be given for just that limitation which it stands in his nature to impose. God is not concrete, he is the ground of concrete actuality. No reason can be given for the nature of God because that nature is the ground of rationality. And you remember I talked of that in terms of what he says, not here but in his later works, of the threefold nature of God, you see. A God in the mode of, God in his primordial nature, you see, is the unity of all conceptual possibilities. God in his consequent nature is God is affected by all events which he prehends. God in his superjective nature is God holding out possibilities to new events in the world. You see, and it's by that superjective nature that he's the principle of limitation. Well, that's as far as we have time to go. The two chapters I omitted, 7 and 8, have to do with electromagnetic field theory, quantum physics, relativity theory, which are the scientific basis for the position he's taking. You see? Because they talk of internal relationships, they talk of relativity of space-time, they talk of events rather than mechanistic things. So the combination of the two, concrete experience, modern science. Miscalculated time. I wanted time for you to feed back on this. Okay, we'll start.